might be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Alright guys, I have a few announcements before we get into the video. One, I am going to be live streaming this weekend. I know I said I was going to be trying to live stream more often, but Austin got hit with a blizzard. The entire city shut down. I lost internet. So really, I can't do anything to try to go around that and continue to keep my promises of live streaming as much as possible. But internet is up for now. I'm going to give it 1 day just to make sure that we don't lose it again. And if we don't, I will be live streaming this weekend. If you want to hop in some rookie mock drafts, we are only going to do rookie mock drafts. That way we can get in 4 or 5 with as many people as possible. Make sure y'all have that bell hit next to the subscribe button. I know the majority of people watching this video are already subscribed, but if you are wanting to come out early enough for that live stream, hit that bell and you'll get a notification whenever we go live, and y'all can come out and participate. And the next announcement I have is, I promise y'all guys, I am trying my best to get these Dynasty startups going. I know we have a ton of people signed up to participate in those new Dynasty startups, but what is my #1 priority right now is getting the current Dynasty Flock leagues filled. We have a few open spots in every single league, and I need to make sure that those leagues are up and going before I start new ones, because if we start new ones before those ones are good, then things are going to get crazy. I mean, it's going to be almost impossible for me to go out there and keep up with everything. So let's fill those teams first. I wanted to do it this week, but like I said, things were crazy. I mean, the city got shut down. I lost all connection. So now this weekend, I'm going to be trying to do my best to go through and fill those teams. To going to be completely honest, I'm going to be very, very busy. Y'all know I'm taking 21 hours. I'm taking 22 hours to graduate with 2 degrees this semester. So I have now double that amount of work to catch up on because classes were canceled this week. So yeah, it's going to be a lot, but I'm going to be trying to go as fast as I can. And that's it. Let's stop rambling. Let's get into this video. And in this video, I'm going to be going through and I'm going to be talking about Dynasty strategy. We had a ton of positive feedback every single time we talk about just overall Dynasty strategy and not really just zoom in on one player. And in particular, what we are going to be talking about here is we are going to be talking about studs and duds. Studs and duds is a strategy where you go through and you spend the majority of your draft capital, the majority of your value on a handful of players, and you kind of disregard the depth later on in your lineup. And I will say that, yes, if you've been following the channel for a while, I have never advocated for studs and duds. Although there are a ton of people that for the past 10 years or so say that this is the #1 way to play Dynasty Fantasy Football. I've had a ton of success going through and accruing depth. I've had a ton of success going through over the past 6 years and just trading down in every single startup and making sure that we are picking up assets. But now, if you participate in any of these Dynasty startups currently, everybody knows how you win the startup is you trade down. And while that is definitely true for a lot of formats, if you're playing in a super flex tight end premium league where you have to have a very balanced starting lineup between quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end, yes, in that format, you do not want to be operating with studs and duds. But where we do want to be operating with the studs and duds strategy is if your league meets one of the 3 requirements. One, if it's a 1 quarterback league, studs and duds is fantastic because all you need are running backs, wide receivers, and that's it. That's why I don't like 1 quarterback leagues, because generally I think they're a little bit boring. I mean, if you have Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara on the same team, you're going to be scoring so many points your opponent really does not even have a chance to catch up with you. And you need to make sure that you have a shallow starting lineup. Now, a lot of the leagues I play in are 12, 14, 16 team leagues where you start anywhere from 11 to 14 players. So yeah, I mean, if you're playing in a league like that, studs and duds is not going to go well because you need a ton of starting lineup spots. I mean, I was starting players like Kiki Cutie last season. Now, what I am seeing a lot with new members of the flock with what they're deeming me is they're playing in leagues that they are only starting 8 or 9 guys. It's a 12-team league. Maybe it's Superflex, but they only have 8 or 9 starters. And that is the league where studs and duds can really build you a juggernaut of a team. Because just like I was saying earlier, the reason I don't like that format is because 2 elite level running backs can just win you the league. You really don't need much else out of that. So you don't have to worry about your roster construction as much as long as you have those elite level guys. So yeah, that is when we are going to be implementing this strategy, is if you are playing in a league with a very shallow starting lineup, if you are playing in a league that is 1 quarterback, preferably not tight end premium, but even if it is tight end premium, you can pull this off. And you don't need all of these factors in your league. You really just need one. You really just need your league to either have the shallow starting lineup or be 1 quarterback, and you don't necessarily need both. But if it is both, then you are going to be killing your league mates with this draft strategy. And with this strategy, I'll be the first one to say that you would not have been able to pull it off as effectively 4 years ago. Back then, it cost you so much to trade up in Dynasty startup drafts. But just think about the recent startup drafts you've been in. I mean, I guarantee your league chat looks like this. Hey, the 104 is on the block, taking offers. And then nobody sends offers for the pick. And then the next guy's up on the clock. And he goes, hey, the 105 is on the block. Send offers. Nobody sends offers. Then so on, so on, so on, so on, where everybody is trying to trade back. And when that is the case, that is when it's a buyer's market. Generally, if you think back 4 years ago, it was the exact opposite. Before someone made their pick in the first, second, or third round, they were getting flooded with offers from everybody else trying to trade up to get that pick. And that's when you should have been a seller. That is when it should have been a seller's market. And that is when I was trading back. But now the pendulum has swung. Now everybody understands that trading back in the startup, if it is the right league settings, is definitely the way to go about it. But like I said, if you're only starting 8 or 9 players, if you are in a 1 quarterback league, you can have a ton of value by trading up. And there are a few rules that we are going to implement when we are trading up in our startup drafts, or even if you're not in a startup draft, but you want to implement this in your current league. And the first rule is, if it's a 1 quarterback league, running back is king. The last thing you need to be doing is trading up to take wide receivers like Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, because we know you are not going to have picks in the middle rounds. And when you don't have picks in the middle rounds, really you're just kind of throwing in the towel on wide receiver. You're going, you know what? I'm going to be able to get wide receivers in rounds 8, 9, 10, 11. Maybe I can hit on 2 in that range that pop off to be mid wide receiver 2s, even low end wide receiver 2s, and you're going to be completely fine. As long as you have the elite running back production, you can still dominate your league mates. So when we are trading up, you are trying to wait until that draft pick is on the clock before you send an offer, because you want to know exactly what player you're going to be trading for. The worst thing you could ever do is wait until 2 picks before that guy is going to go and then trade for that pick, and then you're kind of shit out of luck. If you were looking for Jonathan Taylor, you trade for the 107, and then the 105 is still on the clock, and then the 106 takes Jonathan Taylor. I mean, good luck in that scenario. But here, what we are going to be doing is you're going to be waiting until the pick is on the clock, then you're going to be trading up, and you're going to be going for running backs in those 1 quarterback leagues. Now, if it's a super flex league, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. This is where you have the opportunity to go with a quarterback, because we know the dynasty landscape is changing. Literally, you are not going to have any options at a starting quarterback at the very end of your dynasty startup draft in a super flex league. So you're going to have to get them early, especially if you want to front load your starting lineup with a ton of points. You want to make sure that you are getting those elite level guys like a Russell Wilson, guys like a Dak Prescott. Maybe if you miss out on that top tier, you can go a little bit lower with a Justin Fields or a rookie pick equivalent in that range. And yeah, the running back position is going to be very similar here. You want guys that are going to be producing right away, but still have a ton of long-term value, because you're not necessarily going to have the opportunity to draft those young players in the middle rounds, you need to make sure that you are getting them early with the Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers, a Najee Harris, a Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins, a DeAndre Swift. I mean, y'all know the running backs. You can also throw a Clyde Edwards-Helaire into that mix. Pretty much anyone that was in the 2020-2021 draft class that is in line to have a nice role, that is in line to see a decent amount of production. That is the range you're going to be targeting in those one quarterback leagues where you're not going to be looking at tight end. Tight end is going to be a punt position if you are operating with the studs and duds approach. Wide receiver, not a complete punt position, but kind of in the same realm where we are going to be waiting as long as we can. And now let me go through, let me give y'all some real life examples of trades that you could look to implement. Now, I know these are not going to work in every single league. What you're going to have to do is you are going to have to look for the right league to work this off in, because if the owners are not wanting to trade back, well, tough luck. I mean, this is not going to be the strategy for you. But the first trade that you could look to make out, say you see a running back like DeAndre Swift, Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, Najee Harris fall to the second round, maybe the middle second round to the back half second round, and you go, you know what, that is my guy. I love this running back. I love the profile. Let me go out there and get him. You could possibly send a trade offer where you're like, hey man, I'll give you my 4th and my 6th round pick for your 2nd and your 10th. And I know this is a trade that would never have gotten done just say 2 years ago even. But now in this current climate of Dynasty, I think there's a chance that you could pull this off. Even if you have to add in like an 18th round pick, something way down there that's not even a big deal. And then if you can get that and you want to continue, say you had both Cam Akers and J.K. Dobbins fall into the second round where you are trying to stack both of these running backs, then you can go with the next owner and go, hey man, I'll give you my 5th and my 7th for your 2nd and your 14th, 15th, 16th. Just something way back then. You really want to make sure you have that second pick just so you have a shot at a wide receiver with some upside in that range, but it can be as late as at once. Just obviously, these are going to be offers you have to negotiate with the other owner, and they're going to be hard to pull off, but you have 11 different owners to work with, and that's why even if 6 of them come out here and laugh at these offers, you still have a shot to make them work. You still have a chance to get them done. And say you're able to pull off where you trade your 4th and 6th for a 2nd and a 10th. You trade your 5th and 7th for a 2nd and a 14th. Let's go through and let's look at what kind of team you could construct. Say you still have your 1st round startup pick. So there you went with Saquon Barkley. And this is going to be for a Superflex league in particular. And I am looking at our most recent Dynasty mock draft to see what ranges these players were selected in. So say in a Superflex league, you take Saquon Barkley in the 1st, then you trade up to get Cam Akers and DeAndre Swift in the 2nd, and then with your own 2nd round pick, you're able to get Russell Wilson. In the 3rd, you take Justin Fields for your 2nd quarterback, someone with a ton of upside. Now, I understand. You sounds like you have a monstrous team right now with Barkley, Akers, Swift, Wilson, Fields. And you do have a monstrous team for a shallow starting lineup. But this is where it kind of drops off. You don't have your picks in rounds 4, 5, 6, or 7. So you're going to have to sit there with your hands under your butt for a very long time, waiting until you're back up on the clock. But you're back up on the clock in the 8th round. And this is where you can take your shots at wide receiver. Just say in the 8th you go Pittman, 9th you go Lockett, 10th you go Curtis Samuel, and you'll have an extra 10th round pick to go Brandon Cooks. And then just go the 11th, Mike Gesicki, 12th, Robbie Anderson. And let's see how this team looks. Let's see the result of this studs and duds approach. If you are playing in a league that has a shallow starting lineup, I think that this does make a ton of sense, where your quarterback, Russell Wilson, your running backs, Saquon Barkley, Cam Akers, and then in the flex, you have DeAndre Swift. And then in your super flex, you have Justin Fields. Now, at your wide receiver spot, just say you cycle through Michael Pittman, Tyler Lockett, Robbie Anderson, Brandon Cooks, really whoever's producing that week, and then Mike Gesicki at the tight end. So yeah, guys, I know that this video was a little sporadic. Like I always say, give me your feedback. Go down to the comment section. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think that there's no way that these trades get done in your leagues. But based on my recent experience, I don't know if I am just looking at things a little skewed because everybody in flock leagues are trying to trade down. I think that this is something you could look to pull off, and if you successfully do it, while I would have never advised this a couple years ago, I think that now you could have a dominant team. All right, now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. And that's it. I'll see y'all with the video tomorrow. Maybe I'll live stream tomorrow. We will see.